Structure is another data type that can group the related data using fields. Structure is just a grouping multiple variable as a one single variable. Each field can contain any data type. The way of assigning the value and then reading the value are the same. So here, this is the C period A. This is the structure variable, and A is a field. Okay. In here, in assignment statement, you can place the value on the right hand side, which means that you're assigning this a character vector in the A field, okay, of the C structure variable. To understand this structure type, you need to understand the difference between the cell and structure array. So let's see this drawing. This one. A basic array can contain only one single data type. Thus, the space for storing the data is identical. Because each data has on the data type, for instance, the 3-bit or the 8-bit, the bit size are the same, which means the size of the memory size that stored this value are the same. The way of the referring and then reading the value can be done by the indexing using the row and columns and then depth location. On the other hand, the cell array contains the different types of the data in the cell. Thus, each cell have a different size. It's like this. Different size. Sometimes we store the array, sometimes store the one single value, or sometimes we're storing the character vector, or sometimes we're storing the cell. That's why these size are all the different. However, still it can be indexed, such as no matter size of the cell is. For instance, what is the B1/2? They're referring this is cell, right? 1/2, right? So it doesn't matter what the size of the cell, we can still indexing the location. That's the importance of the cell array. Okay? However, we can think that structured data are not placed on these types of the grid. Okay? Instead, each data has own name. That is the field. Okay? To refer and then read the data, we need to use those field name rather than this indexing. That's the main difference. For instance, here I want to access the 1. No. 1 in the A array. We are using this index, right? What about we are accessing the B? We are going to use the indexing. This is the indexing, right? However, structure has no such index value. To access the value, you need to use this field name. That's the main difference. Okay, let's see the example. The way of defining the structure variable is structure, struct, parenthesis, and then this is the field name, and value. Field name, value. Okay? This is the direct way to assigning the value. You can assign the value using the structure, variable, period, and then field name and assigning this value. Okay? You can take the either way. Okay? But this one is more organized. Okay? Here, what is this one? So this is the most confusing part. Structure st_info, okay, a is equal to 1, okay? This is the scalar value. A is also numeric array, which is the 1 by 1, right? So if you define the a, if 1 is assigned to a, this one is to give you the 1. This is the similar structure. The variable structure type can also be an array. This means a variable can contain the array of the structure variable. Okay? So if you don't understand this structure, you can consider each element as a name card. Okay? So structure st_info is the structure array. Okay? And then first one is the Chalmin's name card. So name is a Chalmin, program symbol is like that. If you store the another student's name card, you need to use the student's info 2 and then field name and then program, something like that. Okay? But the point here is this structure, this Chalmin, and then this information should be accessed by this field name. That's the main difference from the set array. So in the set array case, we can initialize the set arrays like a cell, maybe the A, that is A is a 2 by 3 cell array, structure array, but there's no formal way to do that. So this is the one of a way to initialize the 10 by 1 structure variable. Okay, this is the simple example of defining the array of the structure variable. Okay, see, this structure info is the first location we store the Chalmin's information. The second location we store the Norrin's information. Third location we store the blood information. Okay, so again, this is kind of the card. Each card, there's this types of the information. Okay, makes sense? So if you want to access the Chalmin's, the cohort, you can access the student info first cohort. Okay, makes sense? What about the Norrin's ID? Students info Norrin. Oh no. Student info dot ID. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so here the way of accessing the structure variable in the structure array is you're using this parenthesis and then period and then field name, you can access the data. Okay, let's see how to process data in a structure variable. So we are going to solve the same problem. What is the question? Question is what is the Chalmin's ID? So first we need to make a loop structure. And then we first count how many students in the students info. You can use the numeral because the structure info is array. And then you set the range is 1 to n students. Okay. And then here's the thing. This is a string compare is the comparing the string. You're reading the name value at II's the student card. If it's Chalmin, you're going to reading this ID. Okay, do you understand this logic? This is a very similar to the read the cell array data. Okay, let's compare with this code with the previous code used in the cell array. What are the difference? Think about you're writing the script. It is a very cumbersome to write a long variable name like this. Although it is a mnemonic, but it's every time you put this field name in next to your variable name, it's a very time consuming. Okay, so in this case, we are dealing with a very simple structured variable, so it doesn't look bad at this point. But we are dealing with a large array of the structured variable and a multiple field and then multiple field depths. It'll be very time consuming. Thus, my rule of thumb is if I show my code, my short code to many people, I try to use this structured variable. If not, I use the set array. I review this slide again. I already mentioned in the previous slide, structure are not indexed. So if you access the value in the structure variable, you need to put the field name like this. Okay, but this field name is in like a mnemonic, so this the script using this structure array, a structure variable, is much more readable and then easily understood. Okay. Before I close this lecture, I will show another usage of the structure variable. As mentioned earlier, structure variable is to group or bind many variables as a single structure variable. Here's the situation where structure variable is useful. Suppose that you're making a function named the compute grade to compute the structured grade using his or her record during the term. 10 records are stored in each variable names R1, R2 to R10. Thus, the function accepts the 10 input arguments and produces one up. Okay? How to design your function? Okay? This might not be the good example. One way is like your score, and then R1, R2, R10, and then you're sending this one input. But let's assume the situation where you need to send these types of the many input arguments to compute this some kind of your output from this function. Okay, in that case, if you're placing this 10 input variable in your function, it is too long. This header is too long and messy, right? Also, there is a potential risk of making mistake to release them in this function head or in the script when the function is used. Make a mistake here, or when we used this function, you're likely make a mistake. Okay, then you can use the structure variable. Okay, you can group the variable with this structure variable. Okay, for instance, here you can make a structure variable record and then put the field name is R1 and then store R1 value like this 10 R1 value in each field, and then you're sending this record structure variable to the function, and then in the function you can unwrap the variable like this and then use this R1 to R10. Okay, and then compare with this one and this one, you can significantly shorten this function head, and then this is more readable, right? Rather than listing all the value here, you can just binding all the relevant the variable at the single structure variable. Since the structure variable supporting this mnemonic field name, you can putting into all this 10 different variable into the one single variable. To sum up with this lecture, you need to know how to use the cell variable, because the cell array is frequently used in the actual programming, On the other hand, for the structure variable, you just know why it is used and how to read the script when this structure variable is used. You will not do the programming task using this structure variable. Okay? Remember that you should know how to use the set array, and then we'll do the many practice problem using the set array, not structure array. Okay? See you next lecture. Bye.